Hello, and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse, but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be another tent update. I was supposed to be doing these every week, but I was also supposed to be doing 100 other things, and then on top of that, I had 100 people that was asking me to do one thing. And so as usual, my channel was very inconsistent in producing tent living updates, similar to other projects I've gotten going over the years. But anyway, all the flaps are zipped shut because that's supposed to rain today, and so when I got up this morning, I just went ahead and zipped everything up so I wouldn't have to run out here if it started raining. And when we get done with this video, I'll zip them all up again. And the first thing that I had problems with when I moved out here was the zippers because they were so stiff. So I said I was going to do an experiment and then come back later and tell people what worked the best. And I put soap on some and candle wax on others and vegetable oil and Vaseline. And you know what really worked best was just using them. You know, I try to just leave them all open all the time. The only time I really zip them up is if I got to go to town and there's a chance of rain, because once I'm in the car and away, I can't zip all this stuff up. And we had some really major catastrophes based on leaving these flaps open when there was a chance of rain, and then it started pouring down rain. So I'd have everything in here soaking wet, and I'd have to take it all out and hang it up to dry. And that's a big part of the decision I made as to what would be kept out here and what would not. Now, if you look around, I don't know how much you can see through there. We'll move the camera a little later. First things first is a toilet. I really didn't imagine having a toilet in my tent with me, but I do live in the swamp, and mosquitoes get really, really bad. And if you go out to use a bathroom, and the mosquitoes are going to come in, and then you have to go in the house because you cannot sleep in this tent when it's full of mosquitoes. They will just bite you all night long. They ain't like a wasp or something that stings you one time and goes away. They'll just keep biting. Like, I don't know why I don't just fill up the first time. But next to it is a walker. Now, I don't use a walker for anything at all, but I thought it would be a good idea to have a walker because after I got this toilet, I realized that every time I would get up to use it, I would be pulling on it. And I get scared that it would flip the thing over, and that would be terrible. So I got this so I could pick myself up with this and then work my way over to the toilet. Well, the reality is there's not anything in here that you can grab onto. And you might think you don't use things to support yourself when you're getting out of bed, but if you move into a tent and you start doing all of this, you realize that you really do pick yourself with other objects when you're in a house. And another thing is, like, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you're really unsteady. It's a real good chance when you don't have something to pick yourself up with that you'll fall. And if you fall into the tent, very good possibility you'll tear up your $250 tent, and then you'll be in trouble. So this didn't work, but I've just gotten used to struggling to my feet and getting over to the toilet. And that's not just that. Just even getting up in the morning to go out, especially putting on shoes and stuff. You notice I got a chair out there. I just get up and get in the chair. While I'm over here, I'll show you what I got in here that's for my floor. I'm sitting on a natural fiber area rug. It's like jute or sisal or something like that. And that's basically just because when I come in, I always bring in sand or dirt, leaves or whatever, and it's just best to have them on here. Every now and then I'll pick the thing up, take it out and shake it out, and it's pretty much most of the dirt that gets in here. But I've also got a sleeping bag and a bedspread folded in half that the sleeping bag is on top of. When I had the rain, before the rain, I had this whole thing filled with blankets and stuff, and I'll show you now why I no longer do that. All right, the last time we had big rain, I had to drag all of this stuff out, plus a whole lot more, because I had piles of blankets I was sleeping on in lieu of a mattress. But the good that came out of it is that I didn't want to break my pattern of sleeping in the tent, so I slept that night directly on that plastic bottom that's in the tent, and I slept just fine. The next night I did the same thing, and I realized from that point on I only needed one blanket under me, and I really didn't even need that as long as I had a sleeping bag. But we'll look inside here. You'll see that green chair thing there, and that little mattress pad, and a box for the sleeping bag, and a couple of those pillows that are no longer in the tent. It's just too much trouble. Every time you have some kind of a problem, you got to drag everything out. And just cleaning the tent, you got to drag everything out. Or even if a lizard gets in there and you got to catch a lizard, you got to drag everything out. So we've got it down to a minimum now, and I really enjoy sleeping out here. Not a problem sleeping with less stuff. I guess there's still a few things in here that don't need to be in here. But I kind of keep it down to a minimum. In this corner is basically everything that I use. The first thing, it's most important that you'll find out in tent, is you need some kind of stable platform for putting stuff. And I've got a big cutting board. And the reason for that is none of this stuff stands up very well on this uneven tent floor. But you know, and I mean, you can get away with it, but it's just that it's really a lot better to have something flat and hard to put your stuff on. I always keep a Bible here and my notebook, and that's the Bible I'm currently reading is always the one that's here in my notebooks. But over here on this other side, they've got these kind of pockets. On this side, I have an old, it's like I paid 99 cents for it. It's a New International Version that I got at Goodwill, and so that ends up being the emergency Bible in case I come out here and I forget to bring my Bible with me, because I don't always bring it in and I don't always bring it out. Now, hanging on the zippers, which is the only place you have to hang anything, or a mirror and a brush, and I really don't need that out here, but I do a lot of my videos out here, and it's good to be able to brush my hair for my videos, because it does get kind of scraggly. So I keep a brush and a mirror out here to see what I'm doing. And I also keep out here my costume for my videos, because I don't hardly wear them anywhere else. This may be my final look. I've got to decide on one look so that everybody who sees me knows who I am when they see my videos. I think probably my hair would do it. Have a pretty unique appearance. But anyway, that and my sunglasses, which I keep out here now. So maybe I'll stick to that. Every time I make a video, I'll just do a video with my sunglasses and my slouchy hat. Another thing I keep out here, of course, in the winter is not necessarily essential, but I keep some swim trunks out here. I've never had anybody walk up on me, but you never know. I mean, if I hear a car up in my yard and I got to go up there, because I don't ever wear clothes unless I have to. So in the summer, I'll wear clothes when I go to town, or if somebody calls and says they're coming over. Other than that, I don't wear no clothes. So I got to keep at least some swim trunks out here for a little bit of propriety. This is something I'm really not too. I didn't want to talk about it, but it's in my tent, and I'm supposed to be doing a video about what's in my tent. I really don't like guns. I've never liked guns, but I've always carried a gun, worn a gun. I've got a concealed weapon permit, because when you're me, everybody makes you scared. Everybody that I see gives me a look like they want to kill me, especially if they get into a conversation with me. They instantly hate my guts. And we've had some real strange characters just pop up here lately at the house. But I will tell you this. When I moved into the tent, and I think it's about 10 months ago, I made an active decision not to have any guns out here. Now, I had a bobcat problem for a while, so I kept a .22 rifle, but I didn't keep any self-defense weapons for people. And that's what this is. This is not for hunting. This is for bad guys. And I actually went at least 6 months where I never had a gun next to me. And that might not sound like a big deal, but I've had a gun like next to me in the bed for 20 years, probably. And it's a weird feeling to suddenly not have that. But I've got it back out here again. Hopefully things will calm down with at least what's going on in my real life enough that I can stop having a gun in my tent. And honestly, I would still not have a gun in my tent, but my wife asked me to bring it out here because she's always scared. All right, I also have out here my voltmeter and solar battery charger still, because about every 3 days I've got to change out the batteries in my lantern. Another thing is, like, if you're going to be sleeping in a tent, these things are absolutely insect proof, and yet every day I have to take a fly or a lizard or something out. You need a glass and a coaster. I got this coaster at the steakhouse, and you really don't need a coaster, just anything flat, a piece of cardstock, and you can, you catch a bug and then you kind of get up underneath him and take him over to the zipper. I also have bug spray, and the only reason I really have this is I don't put this stuff on my body. I don't like having bug spray on my body, but my mom is super paranoid about West Nile, and so she'll ask me every now and then, "You keep bug spray in the tent?" And I'll say, "Yeah." That way, I'm not really lying. I've got this thing here. It's a mister. You spray that, and you can spray it on your face and use a paper towel to wipe off. And I've got paper towels here. But this is for drinking water. And I've got several drinking water containers. And I actually had to learn about drinking water containers. See, that, like this here is a Gatorade bottle that I don't think they make anymore because I haven't been able to find them. And we actually got them from the food bank. We didn't go buy Gatorade. But when you shut this, there's no way for anything to get in there. This is something I bought at Goodwill for $1.99, and it's got like a straw that folds up, and I thought that was just the coolest thing. But one night, and I don't know if you can see down in there, one night I woke up and I reached over and I put it in my mouth, and I sucked in what felt like a bundle of sticks, but it was a spider. And when they're in your mouth, they're like doing everything to get out, and it just feels like you got a bunch of sticks in your mouth. I thought, what a freak accident. So 2 days later, I'm out here and I reach for my water again, and another spider. So I brought three. I got 3 that have this kind of attachment, and I brought all 3 of them out here, and I just left them for like a week. And at the end of the week, I picked them up, and all 3 had spiders in them. So you don't go in. If you get a tent, you got to have water. Do not use anything that has a straw attachment that a spider can go in. That was a lesson that I've learned that you can benefit from, so you don't have to go through that. Not that it was that big of a deal. Now I'm out here. It's winter, just like December the 12th, I think, or something like that. And it's about 9 in the morning. This thing says 74, and 2 days ago it was 80. And I keep a thermometer out here. This is a weather radio that my mom gave me, and I just ain't got nowhere else to put it. It's kind of like that walker. If I had storage space somewhere, I'd get it out of here. But, and another thing about the walker, I actually got that for, not just for getting up and down in the tent. I was going to use it for out in the woods. When I'm doing tree work, I'll have to sit on the ground and use my loppers flat against the ground, because if you're standing up, you're using a lopper at that angle, what you're doing is you're making a whole bunch of little spikes sticking up, and if you fall down, you're going to get hurt. I like them cut off flat with the ground, so I got to sit on the ground, and then after I get everything cut around me, I got to pick myself up and move. So I thought I could use that walker for that too, but once again, when you're out there on uneven ground and it's soft ground, those legs will go in the ground when you try to get up, and it's worthless. You can't do it. Surprisingly enough, when I purchased them, and I purchased 2, they worked perfectly because it was the middle of the day, I had plenty of light, I was wide awake, I'd been moving around, and so I looked around in the Goodwill store and made sure nobody was watching, and I sat flat on the store and picked myself up with that. But it don't work out here in nature. Okay, I've got a stack of pillows over there, and occasionally I'll use them, but not very often. I've had those pillows out here since day one. I probably brought 2 or 3 of them back in the house. For whatever reason, I feel more comfortable with my head on this other tent. This right here is a tent, and it's identical to this one. It's a Coleman Instant tent, same size and everything. And it's like this has a frame that's built onto the outside of the tent. So when I'm laying on it, I can feel all those sticks. You know, the legs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs in this thing. They all fold up, and that's what I feel when I'm laying down. I feel a whole bunch of like pieces of pipe. But for some reason, my back has never felt this good before. And I've actually slept on the porch for a few hours and get up super stiff. But I can come out here and lay right here flat on the ground, and I don't feel stiff at all. And I keep a blanket here just in case it gets really, really cold. This sleeping bag, I have slept in it completely naked down to 41 degrees, and I was very comfortable. But other times I'll get in here, and it'll be 55 and I'm cold, so it just depends on you. But I have been at 40 degrees, I was uncomfortable. I'll just say that. 41, I felt pretty good. Now, if you look at this floor, and I don't know that you'll be able to see this, I am under an ancient oak tree. And I mean, I'm right next to it. It's probably 10 feet away. But like all these lumps, that's not dirt. That's roots of the tree. So this is like wooden tree roots, and I'm scared. I was gonna move the tent a while back because I cleared another space for it, but where I lay on my sleeping bag, I can feel all those roots, and it makes my back feel good. And I'm scared that if I move somewhere, it won't have the same, the contours. And I don't know that these contours are not the thing that's making my back feel good. So I'll probably set that second tent up somewhere and try it out a few days. See, like that's a big old pile of roots right there. And if I can sleep good and my back feels good in that other tent, I'll probably clean this one up and put it away. But I don't want to move this tent until I'm sure I can do that, because I absolutely, my whole life is based on trying to make my back feel better. Just like on that wall, I have my little bag on this wall, and like I said, I keep my old beat-up Bible in there for when I forget my other Bible. And on this last zipper, I've got a dustpan and a broom from the dollar store. It costs $1, and it's nice to have it here so I don't have to go to the house every time it's cleanup day. Here's the kind of hooks that I use to hang all this stuff. You're not going to be able to just hang them on the zippers themselves. I think it's like $1 for a bag of those. Pretty much get them at anywhere. You can get them at Walmart, I think. There is one legitimate hook in this whole tent that is not a zipper, and that's from the ceiling. If you notice, I've got just a regular free giveaway Harbor Freight flashlight up there, but you can actually buy purpose-made camper lights, camp tent lights, that actually have built-in fans. They're battery powered. You can charge them off of my solar panel, and then you use you use them for lighting and for a fan. But I don't like using that, because what happens is I'll turn that on, I get comfortable, I start reading, I get sleepy, I turn my regular lamp off, and then I realize I've got to get out of my sleeping bag to turn that off. And this is a flashlight. It's a lantern, but when you slide it down, it's a flashlight. And basically, this is all of my needs. It's got a little tripod screw in the bottom, and so I've got this tripod on here, and that's to get it a little bit of elevation, because it makes it easier to read by. But I have learned that actually the best way to use this as a reading lamp is to simply stick it on top of this flap right here. And then it puts light down so that I can read just like I'm in a house under a regular table lamp. I will show you this about this toilet, because I think it's a really good idea to get one of these, no matter who you are. If you go to Goodwill or whatever, Salvation Army, maybe once a month one of these will pop up. And this is a good emergency toilet for when your sewage is out, your plumbing's out, your electricity's out, whatever. Because after hurricanes down here on the coast, all of that goes away, and sometimes it doesn't come back for a month. And so people really struggle to figure out how to go to the bathroom and with some amount of comfort, and you can't really sit on a 5-gallon bucket. You have to have something under it. But you can use this with a 5-gallon bucket because it's got the chute that comes with it. Now that's not how I use it. I actually have a thing that looks just like this with a bottom in it because, you know, I come out here at night. I don't stay here during the day. I'm only going to do number 1, not number 2. And it's easy just to every day take and dump it out. But if you're in a house in an emergency situation with, say, 3 other people, and you use that thing that comes with this, you will be dumping your toilet every 15 minutes. Whereas if you got a 5-gallon bucket you can use, basically you can get through the day. I highly recommend that you read up on composting toilets so that you can have as few problems as possible, because if you don't know what you're doing, it'll be just too stinky to have in the house. Mine isn't in the house. I've got one up on the porch that I use, and it's on a screen porch, so it's not that much of a problem. The wind kind of blows the smell away. But you can do things to keep it from smelling, like making sure you put everything in there, like coffee grounds, junk mail, vegetable peelings, some leaves, sawdust, and you have virtually no smell in that particular situation. I'll show you the outside of this thing now. That little hook right there is for holding up plants, and I just, in the mornings when I dump my pee bucket, I just hang it there to let it drip dry, and about once every 3 or 4 days I'll wash it out, because I keep 5-gallon buckets of water out here for fire, because I always keep a burn pile going around the clock if it's good weather, not windy, not raining. I got a chair right here to help me so I can hold on to that while I'm going in and out of that door. You know, I'm really tall, and that door's like 5 feet, so I got to squat way down. It's just it's easy to have a chair when you're putting your shoes on or even taking your shoes off or whatever to lean on. Now, I told you I can't use that walker, but over there is a little white table that is a very stable platform. And anytime I'm doing any kind of work in the woods, I will take that white table with me, set it down right where I'm working. I can get up and down real easy, and I can set my tools on there, and it doesn't weigh that much, so it's not hard to pull around. Look at my woods. Something you may have noticed is that there's nothing in this tent associated with food. There's no cooking, there's no plates or forks, there's no cans of food, and there's a good reason for that. When I first started this project, I did bring quite a few things out here to cook with. I had a little Coleman burner, 2-burner thing, and several other cooking items, including my sun oven. But I couldn't keep this in the tent due to squirrels. I've got a hole in the screen on my house to my screen porch because I left a 5-gallon bucket of corn out there sealed tight. A squirrel ate through the aluminum to get to that bucket and then ate a hole through that sealed bucket, so they can smell any food that you have. Eventually I got tired of bringing this back to the house every time it rained. I had planned on doing a solar cooking series out here, and I actually produced that series, but I made all the video up by the house. So that's just a word of advice. If you're going to go camping in a tent and you're going to be there all the time for a couple of days, well, that's one thing. But if you're living in a tent, you do not want anything associated with food anywhere around the interior of your tent. Because if you zip that tent up and you go somewhere, a squirrel will eat a hole through your tent. Oh well, that's the end of the tent living update for December of 2015. If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.